And to culture wars, and this is actually a big one. Aren't you sick of people who don't stay in their lane? I mean, they use their position to lecture people on their pet causes. You see it, even priests do it from the pulpit, whether it's global warming, Palestine maybe, race politics. Woolworths, for instance, no to Australia Day. That's not their call. Another example. A viewer wrote to me this week. She's had kids in a local life-saving club for quite a while. She's donated to that club. She shops at Ritchie's supermarket, as do I, and uses his wonderful community benefits to donate specifically to life-saving. But she was shocked to then get an email from Lifesaving Victoria boasting that it's just helped to fund an academic study on the risks of future sea level rises. The rise is predicted because of global warming. I mean, what difference would a couple of inches make anyway? I mean, seriously, what does this have to do with saving drowning swimmers? Joining me is Rowan Dean, editor of The Spectator Australian, and host of Outsiders on Sky News every Sunday at 9 a.m. It's a show I never miss because it's brilliant. Rowan Dean, thank you so much for your time again, mate. Look, isn't this kind of thing is exactly the kind of thing I so object to? People donating surf life-saving to save lives, while Lifesaving Victoria is funding global warming propaganda.
Well, Andrew, there's an immediately comical side to this, which you can just imagine little nippers being moved to Federation Square or to Martin Place so that they can practice getting used to the tides that are going to come rushing up in a few years' time because of global warming, or the rips that'll be whizzing down George Street or Collins Street or whatever. But there is a far more serious side to this, Andrew. And this climate change alarmism is terrifying children first, but secondly, it is completely distorting so many organisations. The money that is needed for lifesavers do a fantastic job. Every beach, and there are so many beaches in Australia that need to be patrolled during the summer. They do an incredible job. People sacrifice time and effort and donate money to make sure that we have the lifesavers there to protect the kids and the tourists and so on. To be wasting money on some lunatic, ridiculous study about rising sea levels, money that could be going to, it might be another piece of equipment, it might be another jet ski down on the beach, it might be another life-saving bit of apparatus. To be wasting money on this sort of garbage tells you it's the perfect metaphor for everything that the left are doing to destroy this country. This cult of climate change, and that's what it is, Andrew. I don't apologise for using the word. It is a cult. And anybody who seriously thinks that lifesavers should be giving one brain cell of thought to rising sea levels at some point in the future is an idiot. And quite frankly, grown-ups need to now start standing up and saying, this stuff has to stop. We are terrifying and propagandizing our children, and it is to the detriment of all the good things in our society.
Well, I sort of think when I see this kind of thing from other organisations too, I think it's a branding exercise for the people at the top. See, we really care. We're really with it, we're hip with this or that. But seriously, it's not their business. Stick to your knitting. I don't get it. It's so offensive. By the way, Rowan, amazing developments this afternoon in a scandal involving Foreign Minister Penny Wong. Now, I've criticised her this week for giving at least $26 million of our money to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which is set up for so-called refugees of Palestine. In fact, most of them are children and grandchildren of refugees. When we know it allegedly, this organisation, UNRWA, includes teachers and other staff who are terrorists or supporters of terrorists. Now, I mentioned that this agency has now sacked 9 staff implicated in the October 9 massacre of 1,200 Jews and the kidnappings, personally participating. But now the Wall Street Journal says intelligence that Israel has shared with the US concludes that around 1,200 of UNRWA's 12,000 employees in Gaza have links to Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad, another terrorist group, and about half have close relatives who belong to Islamist militant groups. Rowan, how could Wong still say she's only going to pause our aid to this organisation temporarily?
Well, this is ridiculous, and Penny Wong should resign. It's that simple. What Penny Wong has done, and let me just give you a very, very brief history. Back in 2018, The Spectator Australia and Outsiders launched a campaign to stop Australian tax dollars going to UNRWA specifically, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. That was headed by a couple of our writers, Dr. David Adler, Andrew L. Urban, wrote articles about this. I interviewed David Adler on Outsiders. David Adler, armed with so much information, detailed information from Israel, went to the Australian government at the time and, along with Pauline Hanson and others, other senators, convinced Julie Bishop, so Penny Wong's predecessor by one, convinced her to reduce $10 million. There was $20 million at the time going, and they convinced Julie Bishop, based on the evidence they presented, to halve that and lop off $10 million, because Julie Bishop was rightly convinced by the evidence that there was a high risk that Australian tax dollars were going to pay for the murder of Jews in Israel. Now, Julie Bishop made it very clear why she was cancelling that money. Now, if Penny Wong does not resign, she has to explain which bureaucrat in DFAT, the name, please, and the report that convinced Penny Wong that it was now safe to reverse Julie Bishop's $10 million, which Penny Wong did as one of the first acts as the new Labor foreign minister. Now, on what advice did she act? And if she acted without advice, she was recklessly endangering Jewish lives with Australian taxpayers' money because the risks were well known and well documented, and the Australian government had already acted on them. So either Penny Wong must resign now, because we now have the rest of the world saying, look at where this money has gone to, look at the risk, and look at the clear links between this organisation and terrorism. Now, if Penny Wong won't resign, she must give us the bureaucrat that convinced her that it was now okay to do it.
No, Rowan, hello. If you and I and others and your Spectator writers knew all this, we don't have the resources. We're not foreign minister. Penny Wong should have known this herself without even needing advice. Good on you for fighting that fight.
Knew.
Rowan Dean, thank you so much.